Okay, it's recording. Thank you. Hello, my name is Anna-Katharina Brüster. I work at GeoSphere Austria, and I can present to you. Thank you for the opportunity to present the project and the project outcomes to you today. So, SAPHEA is a Horizon Europe. Was funded under the Horizon Europe program, and the runtime is until June 2025, so it ends on Monday next week. The overall goal was or is to address the prevailing barriers of renewable heat by developing and supporting market uptake hub measures to enable geothermal district heating and cooling networks. So in SAPHEA, we performed an analysis and worked on the removal of these barriers. The consortium, as you see here, we have 9 partners. In total, the consortium consists of 10 partners. You see the shortcuts here from research institutes and universities and companies as well. So in the beginning of SAPHEA, we were at the GeoDSC days in Aarhus in 2023, and we had a survey there asking for the main barriers of implementing geothermal in district heating and cooling grids. And as you see, these were some of the answers we received back in a word cloud. So there are different types and summarized. There you see technical issues, financial issues, legal issues, knowledge issues, and these all come together in the SAPHEA project in our main 5 objectives. So we have the major objective is to establish this digital access point to support decision-making and consultancy on geothermal energy use. On this digital access point, we will have all the other 4 topics. These main topics are adapting and upgrading existing datasets and tools, fostering supportive market frameworks, and bringing geothermal heating and cooling networks closer to regional stakeholders. These all serve to empower future investors. My colleagues here today will present these objectives in more detail. For example, Ali and Jacques will present more details on the datasets and the tools. Giulia Cittadini will bring more detail on the market frameworks and the business side. And Jessica will have a closer look at the stakeholders and socio-environmental part. All these topics are gathered on this digital access point. We call it the Market Uptake Hub. You see here a graphic showing what's on the Market Uptake Hub. We have the toolbox, where we have a GIS toolbox uptaken from previous projects and further developed. We have strategies and guidelines where you can explore policy recommendation and so on. We have the knowledge base with all public deliverables available for download to have a look at. We have developed a game book where you can navigate through GeoDHC scenarios. And we have the data in viewers where you can have a look at the updated data sets and gain other insights. So I would like to share a brief, sorry, this is a different one. I would like to show you the current, the current status. So the link to the Market Uptake Hub is the www.saphea.eu. But it took a while for a sustainable place to have the Market Uptake Hub on. So if you currently type in saphea.eu, you will be redirected to the beta version. It is, since this week, moved to the sustainable and final place on EGEC's Go Geothermal website. So this is here, Go Geothermal, and you have it here, the Market Uptake Hub. As I said, you have the different topics displayed here as well. This is the landing page where you can get more information in general about the different topics. And with the links, you can access the different topics or either through the links or on the top through the tabs. We also have recorded some tutorials for all the different products we developed within the project. You can have a look at them separately. We also have here our feeds, our social media feeds from X and LinkedIn, where you can have a look at the blogs and different events we had within the. And here is an overview on the consortium put together under SAPHEA. Just for your information, here is the knowledge base where we have all the reports, the public reports available for you. Here is within an explanation how it all fits together, with also a literature repository with containing all the literature data used within the reports within SAPHEA. The wrong scroll. And here is all the download links. Strategies and guidelines as well. You have all the download. You have a more explanation at the top and the download links on the bottom. Then we have the data and viewers, where Jacques will explain a bit more in detail. We have taken up, it takes a bit to load. We have taken up from the previous cost action geothermal DHC, the GIS map developed at the end of the cost action. So normally you would see here a picture of existing geothermal district heating and cooling installations. We also did a mapping of financial instruments. You can have a look at it here within our project, and the catalog of spatial datasets, which will be explained by Jacques. And we also provide some links to previous projects just for data, just to have a more complete view on all available data. So there is also the link to the SAPHEA toolbox, which will be explained by Ali later on. And we also have linked the wiki here, which is an explanatory platform accompanying the SAPHEA toolbox. We have here also the gamebook, which was developed by our dear colleagues in Turin, where you can explore your own geothermal district heating and cooling journey. You can choose your own adventure style to get to know more about that. And at last, and we have a contact page where you can get in contact, where you can have a look at our social media and join the community we set up as we had in the previous cost action geothermal DHC, private area where users could exchange on events or ask questions. We put up a similar forum, but on LinkedIn, because we thought it would be more sustainable this way to connect interested people and researchers. So please have a look at that. And I think I can hand over to the next one. Jacques.
Yes, I'm sharing my screen. All right. Wait, why is it? Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, but not as.
Yeah, I don't know why it's. Okay, wait, I need to fix something.
Hey, Joe.
Wait just a second. All right, should be good now. If I go there. Is it good now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, sorry for the inconvenience with the two screens. Sometimes it takes a while. So good afternoon, everyone. I will now present one of the first work we did concerning the facilitation of geothermal energy integration into district heating and cooling networks. And that concerns 3 products, which is the catalog of scenarios, some parameter assessment methodology, and some special datasets catalog too. To put a bit everything in context, as we all know, or maybe not, nowadays, this is kind of a current state of the geothermal energy technologies that is known and applied in the world. So you can see that on the left side, we have some shallow geothermal technologies, and the more we go to the deep side, the more energy we can have and the higher temperature and the more complex it gets. So it goes from ground heat collectors up to shallow borehole heat exchangers and so on with different purposes for heating, cooling, district cooling, and so on, or private use and stuff like this. So we have a lot of technologies. And now if we have a look on the other side of the spectrum, thanks to these technologies and the evolution of these technologies, the district heating grids also evolved since many years. So we started with the 1st and 2nd generation grid, and then now we go after the 4th and 5th generation, who are more complex and can actually adapt lower temperature and so on. So nowadays, we discovered that it's a bit complicated for stakeholders and policymakers to actually find their way through what is available and what technology to use in which case. So we decided to create 3 different products that are linked to each other and can be used individually also. And those 3 products are the scenario catalog that I will explain after, and also the methodology for geothermal scenario assessments, so that we take some scenarios and we define some methodology that it's a sort of guidelines of how to implement those technologies, those scenarios. And also we gathered at the European scale some special data sets that are freely available for everyone, and they are linked to each scenarios. So those 3 products are meant for early stages and for feasibility studies, also / potential assessment phases. So if we put it in the context of a project, that's 3 products are really in the first stages, in the technical part, where you really need some insight for assessing the heat resource or trying to find which technology fits your grid. So the first document I want to talk about is the geothermal scenario catalog. As I said earlier, we have different technologies with different source temperature, and on the other side, we have a grid temperature with a network temperature. And we decided to link and to gather all information and all technologies that exist to fit like that again, that can link source temperature and network temperature. So we have, for example, here the red arrow here. That is a direct use with high temperature, and this is like a hydrothermal direct use where you have a source temperature that can be directly fed into your high temperature grid. And the other case, you have also like a lower temperature grid, and you have a lower source, and that's also the other side of the spectrum. And something in between, that you can also have a lower temperature on the source, and you want to feed into a higher temperature grid, and for this you use a heat pump. We also included technologies such as borehole thermal energy storage or aquifer thermal energy storage, and so on. So this document, how is it built? So we have this relationship between all the sources and temperature, and then we classified all those scenarios into 3 different groups: basic, complex, and future. So you can see here on the right side that we have the basic scenarios that are classified with the source temperature, the aquifer or ground type, and also the grid temperature. And then you have the name, if it's from groundwater, or use a low temperature heat pump, and so on and so on. So we have basic scenarios that are widely used in the world. We have complex scenarios that you can find less often, but are still well represented worldwide, and there is a lot of documentation. And we also included future scenarios, which involve future technologies that are in current development or will be developed in the future, and they are still in the research phase. So to have a look on what is the scenario, so we have for each scenario type, like here we have the B01, which is a simple, a basic scenario. Number 3, we have a hydrothermal direct use that feeds a high temperature network. So you find on the top, again, all the details. You have the description of the technology. We have a description of the scenario. You have a list of parameters that you will need. You have some limitations that you find. And most important, we did a literature review worldwide about all the examples we could find that uses this scenario. So here, for example, you have an example in Munich, in Germany, and also so on, like in Hungary, in Italy, in France, and so on. So for each scenario, you will find these examples. So that was for the scenario catalog. And now linked to that, we went a step further and we said, okay, now we have all those scenarios. And the question is like, okay, how can someone know if he can apply which scenario, or if he's interested into one scenario, how he can apply it? So we actually created a methodology slash guidelines for that. So all the scenarios were grouped into 5 different sets, depending on the heat source type. So if it's shallow aquifer, deep underground, deep aquifers, and stuff like this. And for each set, you will find 3 different things. A list of important parameters that are necessary to assess the resource potential, if it's qualitative or quantitative. You will have a detailed, clear methodology to assess both qualitative and quantitative assessment. And for each set, a list of pan-European freely available datasets that are suitable for it. So how does it look like? For example, if I take the first scenario set, you will see here all the names of the different scenario catalog that are inside this scenario set. And then you will start to find a list of parameters that you need to look and that are important to assess the feasibility study of these scenario sets. So for example, if you want a shallow geothermal, you want to apply this B01 shallow geothermal and free cooling aquifer scenarios, you really want to look for maybe some protected area, the depth of the aquifer thickness, and so on and so on. So we gathered all information, we gave a description, and also we added here on this column, if it's available for at the qualitative level, or if you need, you can also use this for quantitative to really assess numbers and to start to have first numbers and first calculations. So the second step is like the methodology. We have divided into 2, qualitative here and quantitative. And for the quantitative, we give a clear methodology on how to assess the feasibility study with some example. From here, you have an example of Bavaria. We have the quantitative and the quantitative assessment. And then at the end of each scenario, we linked all available pan-European datasets that are available for this methodology. So you have the list on the right, you have the direct link to download and have the data. You have the name of the scenario parameters that it's linked to, and also if it's suitable for qualitative or quantitative assessment. So all of that was a huge work, and once we did all that, then we successfully gathered enough data to create a special dataset catalog, which is represented by this big table here. I'm not going to go in detail, but we classified all the dataset through main description, like if we have geohazard data, geology data, groundwater, hydrogeology, land use, and so on. And then for each dataset, we gave the content, which is containing the direct URL for download, to download the data, and the data license type. Then on the right side, you have the link to which scenario catalog each scenario is useful, which range of depth, and also if it's useful for the quantitative or qualitative assessment or both. All of those documents, you can find them either on the SAPHEA Market Uptake Hub that Anna just presented. You can also find them on the SAPHEA's wiki. And also we have published some of the datasets and some of the deliverables on Zenodo. And the last thing is like we also created for each product of SAPHEA some tutorials that we added on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and just look for SAPHEA on the research tool, you will find this playlist with all the tutorials that each of them explain one part of the SAPHEA products. Thank you, Sam. And I'm gonna let now the next one.
Yes, thank you. Ali.
I will share my screen as well. But can you see my screen? Okay,
Yes.
So yeah, hello everyone. My name is Ali Kök. I'm a PhD student and a researcher at the University of Vienna, and I will present you today the SAPHEA toolbox. So according to the official schedule, we have around 25 minutes left, so I will try to be very quick. So basically, when you type the link here, toolbox/saphea.eu, this is the page you will land in. This is basically our disclaimer page where you have project partners, the link to the Market Uptake Hub, the link to our wiki. So I will come to this later again, but if you click on this link and click read wiki, so you also have written guidelines of how to use this toolbox and also about overall project outcomes. So here you can see the data set, which I recently mentioned. Then if you come here, the calculation modules, you will have the tools I will show in a second. And their inputs are all explained here in tables, their outputs. And all of them have a sample run at the end. So you can also run it on your own by just reading this guideline. So basically, when you come here, you just need to click go to app. Maybe before doing that, also all the tools we have here in the toolbox are open source. So if you click here, you will also go to the repositories. So basically, you have the code repositories for all of them, and they are all open source. So click go to app here. Sometimes you might see this maintenance notice. So for instance, Monday we will have our final release. So this platform will have an update. So during the Monday, it will not be stable, but you will always see this. I will say. Don't tell me again. So when you come to the platform, basically you see a map of Europe, and this platform, or let's say the backend of this user interface, comes from a HotMaps project, and then CityWatts project, which also upgraded HotMaps platform. So we use their structure, but we use it for the geothermal district heating case. So basically, here you have the tools to select the areas. So right now, if I click, it will choose the region and the resolution. So right now I'm in Not0. I can go all the way to low regions. So we have this geographical resolutions. Then you can also draw different shapes to choose multiple ones. But I will stick with the simple one now. Then here in the second ribbon, you will see the layers. So these are the GIS-based data, the data layers we have on the platform. Some of them are also moved from other projects. We collected data from other projects. For instance, the heat density comes from HotMaps project. If you zoom in, you will see the regions. So for instance, I can choose this low region. And if I go back to tools and click load results, it will show me some summary data. So what is the total heat demand in the area? If I choose how many cells are there, each cell means one pixel, 100 times 100 meters of squares. And you will see the minimum, maximum, and average heat densities. So some summary statistics for the layer you choose. On the other hand, if I go down, we also have other data layers, some from industry, some renewable potential, some climate data, such as average temperatures, wind speed, solar radiation, heating and cooling degree days. And finally, we have the geothermal category. So these are all new data sets we have collected within the project. So the ones Jack mentioned. And all of these data sets were not open source before. So they were published in other projects. Probably most of you are aware of GeoDH project, but the data sets that were available on the website, you can visualize them, but you were not able to download them. So for instance, if I click on these two, and maybe I go back to maximum level, so it's easier. So you can see here the hot sediment aquifer contours and fields. And here, if you click on information, we have links to our GitLab repository. So all the data is again available here as open source. And you can, in the references, you can also go to the original source of the data. So here you can see that this data is published through SAPHEA project. So it was from GeoSphere project, but it was not openly available and you couldn't download it. Now all the layers you see in the platform are available here for download. So I go back to the platform. Maybe one thing I did not mention in the layers, you can also see if you click, for instance, I'm in Budapest now, there are also legends. If you see color codes in the layers or in some outputs of the calculation modules, you can always click to the layer legend and you can see what are these color codes mean. So I will now go to the calculation modules. So to be able to activate them, you need to choose a region. Because this user interface, the whole platform is designed to work with GIS-based data. So from the layers I show, we use some data in the calculation modules. Not all of them, but most of them. So when you choose the calculation module, you will see that they are activated. And if you hover over them, you can also see in which geographical resolutions you can run these modules. Zoom in a bit. Yeah. So here in the first one, we have the district heating related calculation modules. Again, these are the ones developed within the hot maps and CityWatts projects. And the ones related to district heating, we move them here. So basically just summarizing the functionality of each calculation module. These first two lets you calculate the district heating potential in your area. The first one is a simple one. So you can define what is the maximum heat distribution cost for you. Then it will calculate the potential district heating areas. And the second one, it's a more advanced analysis for the same objective. But this one makes a more economic assessment. Then we have the district heating supply module, which calculates the dispatch of your available heat sources. And we also have a district cooling module here, but geothermal energy is not included there directly. Then we have the two geothermal related calculation modules. And these two does not directly use GIS data. So you will have to choose a region, but these ones are solely dependent on the user provided data. So after you choose a region to activate the CM, the first one I want to show you is maybe I start GeoSphere. So GeoSphere is a model developed in US, but within SAPHEA project, we have adapted this tool for our own needs. So in the platform, it only works for the medium or deep hydrogeothermal systems and their direct use. So this is our specific case here that we calculate. And then you see, if I close this category, you will see multiple categories of inputs. The first ones are the most essential ones. So you need to give your reservoir depth, the temperature gradient within this depth, how many production and injection wells do you have, the flow rate of the production, and the injection temperature. Then we have some other extra inputs. Some of them are advanced, such as the productivity and injectivity indexes, some environmental inputs, surface temperatures, the end use efficiency. So we assume a direct use of heat. So we have 10% losses assumption. We have the full load hour, the capacity factor or the utilization factor. Then we have the lifetime of the plant to calculate the levelized cost of heat. Since this tool calculates in US dollars, we also give the users to play around with the currency rate, then the discount rate. In the last category, we have the cost adjustment factors. So you will see in the results that the GeoSphere calculates quite detailed cost breakdown. So some of them, of course, does not fit your region. So you have the chance to give a factor. For instance, in your region, if some part of the cost is always cheaper, you can give here 0.5. So you will always see the 50% less for that category. So in your next rounds, you can have adjusted results based on your own region. And finally, you need to provide an electricity price for the pumping cost. So if I click run here now, it should take just a few seconds, as you can see. So you have immediately the results because this is a simulation tool. It's not an optimization tool. So it runs quite fast. So in these summary results here, you see the main ones that we present, which is the average direct heat use production capacity. Then you have your average annual heat production in kilowatt hours per year. Then what is your average production temperature and the levelized cost of heat for the whole system. Then we have some detailed costs. So the first category until the total capital cost is the different type of capital cost, such as exploration costs, surface power plant costs, so on and so forth. And then you see the total. Then you have the different types of operational and managerial costs. And at the end, you again see the total. And finally, we have some technical outputs, such as the temperature levels or pressure drops, the pumping power, so on and so forth. But these are the main ones that we wanted to display on the platform. And if you click here to the export indicators, you basically download all these indicators you see here as a CSV file, so you can use them for your own recording. As you can see here, all of them are exported to a CSV file. And if you click on sort extra files, so we have more detailed results if you want to dig in and make more detailed analysis. When I click on export extra files, I will redirect it to the download a zip file. And in the zip file, you have 2 text and 2 Excel files. The text files are easier for reading. I'll show it to you quickly. But easier to read here, so I make it bigger. But if you want to make some analysis with these profiles or with these cost results, yeah, it's difficult to copy paste everything from here. So we also provide the same files in Excel format. So if you just want to read it, you can go to the text files. But for documentation, you have exactly the same information, but in a more organized way in an Excel sheet. So that's more or less it for the SAPHEA GeoSphere. I will try to quickly also go through the large-scale geothermal heat pump tool before finishing my presentation. So here in the second option, you'll see this large-scale geothermal heat pump. So the difference here is that, as I said in the first model, the GeoSphere model, we assume a direct use of heat for the medium and deep hydrogeothermal. With the large-scale heat pump tool, we again assume a mid to deep geothermal projects, but with a combination of large-scale heat pump. So in this one, actually, this is a more empirical model our colleagues from Munich developed based on their own thermodynamic modeling of large-scale heat pumps. So basically here you provide your source temperature. Right now here it's 130, or maybe I can show you better ways because this tool is available in 2 formats. So if you go to the wiki page of the large-scale geothermal heat pump, you will see that it is available in 2 versions. So one is the tool in the SAPHEA platform. So I already showed it to you. And the second one is the standalone module. If you click here, you basically have the same model, but with a better visualization. So here you can see the first scenario here is for GeoSphere, direct use of heat, geothermal energy. In the second and third scenarios, this heat pump tool can consider when your supply temperature is already enough to be covered by the geothermal liquid or your geothermal plant. You don't need a heat pump normally to lift your temperature, but you can use the heat pump to boost your capacity. So you have enough temperature, but you still can use heat pump to increase the capacity, or you use it in a more conventional way. In the second option, the production temperature is not enough to satisfy the district heating needs, the network needs, then you use it to lift temperature. So I will first run the conventional case. So when you select it, the input parameters will be changed. So I will just run it with the default inputs, quickly run it. So we have a mass flow rate of 80 kilograms per second. The production temperature is 70, and the distributing supply is 85. So we don't have enough temperature. So when I click calculate, you will see how much heat you can generate in combination with heat pump. So the heat delivered to the distributing network. What is the estimated COP of this heat pump? Then how much electricity we need for the heat pump. And you can even have some economic results, the estimated specific cost of the heat pump and estimated investment costs. So it's a very quick tool that provides you some rapid insights into using geothermal plant with large-scale heat pump. So finally, in the last case, with the capacity increase case, what happens is that, let's say we have 100 degrees Celsius of production temperature, but my desiccating temperature is 85 degrees Celsius. So normally I could have a direct use here, but I want to use this heat pump to boost my capacity. So when I click calculate, you will see that without the heat pump, we could have 10 megawatt of heat production. And thanks to the heat pump, we added 12 gigawatts more. So at the end, we have 22 megawatts of heat delivered. Again, you see the same results. What is the COP, what is the electricity input, and what is the cost of the heat pump and total investments. So basically, it provides you a very quick analysis on these two scenarios. And if you run it within the tool, if I could show you, you don't choose which scenario to implement, but you give your input, then the tool understands. So it checks your temperature, and it says, okay, here the temperature is sufficient to supply the heat, so I will use the heat pump to increase the capacity. In the other one, you choose the scenario and give the input. So it basically do the same thing, but it's just two different ways of getting the inputs. Yeah, I think that's more or less it. I already used my time. Do you have any questions, or should we take the questions at the end?
Okay, there is a question. Should we move it to the end?
As you like. Yeah, we can. I think we can do it at the end. Yeah, maybe it's quicker. Let's finish.
Then please, Julia, it's your turn.
Perfect, thank you. Hello everyone, I'm Giulia Cittadini. I'm a policy advisor at the European Geothermal Energy Council. I'm going to share my screen now. I hope you can see it well. Perfect. So we are moving to something definitely less technical. So in my presentation, we are going to address two main topics, let's say, what we did regarding the political policy framework impacting the geothermal district heating and cooling networks in Europe. And the second part will focus on business models. And I will be very, very quick because we don't have much time. So I'm just going to present you the main topics, and then I will leave you room for question, but everything that I'm going to address, it's in our reports, so you will find it in the website. So what we did with this within the policy, the main area of the policy framework. We developed this scheme, this tool, this political readiness evaluation scheme. The idea is to, through this tool, to assess the political readiness of any legislation. In our case, we analyzed some of the EU countries that were part of the in our project, but the idea is that to use this scheme for any legislation that you want to analyze. How it works. Basically, we identify 11 requirements that covers in a broad perspective the policy framework, spacing from the legal requirements for local or regional authorities to develop heat plans, to the existence of energy price regulation, to any support from a financial perspective. So it's quite a broad approach. These 11 requirements are then translated into 11 questions. To these 11 questions, you can reply with the yes, no, or an intermediary answer that we also provided. And in order to make also a comparison between different legislation, we decided to basically give a score to each of the answer you can give. So if your answer is yes, you give 3 points. If it's no, 1 point. If it's the intermediary answer, it's 2. In this way, at the end, if you sum the score that, if you sum the points that you assign, basically you are able to have a final score that will give you an idea of where the legislation of the country you're analyzing stands. So, and here on the side you have this traffic light system. So if at the end the legislation you're analyzing, it's between 18 points total, it's a red, it stares in the red side. So it's the legislation there is not really supportive for geothermal district heating and cooling development. Between 19 and 25 points, it's yellow. Okay, there needs to do some improvements, of course. Between 26 and 33, it's green, so it's good. There is a good and positive framework supporting the networks in the country. So indeed, these are the questions the measures that I presented you before, the requirements that are translated into questions. And so basically for each question, indeed, you can answer with yes, no, and here I just provided you with the intermediary answer we identified. I'm not going to read them, of course, but basically this tool will enable you to analyze and to compare different legislation. In this way, you would be able to easily compare the legislation in Italy to the one in Germany and to understand, okay, what is missing in Italy in respect to Germany, for example. I can already tell you that the Italian score, unfortunately, it's 15, so red score, and the German one it's in a better position. So in this way you will be able to understand, okay, what is missing, what are the what needs to be done. What we did then, we elaborated some roadmaps. So these are the countries here that also for which we developed this political readiness evaluation scheme. So for this country, which are Austria, Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, and the UK, you will already find this political readiness evaluation scheme in the report in the website. The roadmaps here. What's the idea behind? It's just to analyze and compare what's the project, a typical project lifetime for deep geothermal, and compare different layers that interact within the lifetime of a project, from day 0 to until the end, until the commissioning. And we identify 4 thematical layers, which are the policy one, of course, technical, the funding aspects, and then the sustainable and social readiness part. In this slide, you can see the roadmaps that we developed for this country. The UK one, it's missing, but it's present in the report. But in this way, you would be able to understand for this country what are the main differences. You can already visually see it from here, from this slide. That for some countries, for example, you can start with the policy aspect before, or at year 1, with others instead it's something that starts a bit later, for example. So it's a useful tool to just compare what's happening in different legislations. So this was for the policy. What we also did is then, on the basis of these roadmaps for these countries, we then identified some, let's say, common trends that we can have at European level, and different phases. So the phases that you find before per roadmap, we elaborated them in a broader level, with some also quantitative and qualitative KPIs. In this way, you would have an understanding of what are the measures, or what are the actions that are needed to develop deep geothermal district heating and cooling project in Europe at a general level. So this was for the policy framework. Moving to the one concerning the business models, what we saw is that we in Europe we had traditional some two main business model that support the development of geothermal district heating and cooling projects. And in more recently, we see the advent of new business models. We try to understand what are the reasons behind this, what are the drivers, and we saw that definitely the advancement in technological capabilities impacted the introduction of new business model, as well as the development of a more comprehensive supportive regulatory framework, together with the large range of opportunities for all heating and cooling demand profiles, and of course, the necessity to reach new end users. So these are the main drivers that explain why new business models have developed in Europe recently. And in the report that we elaborated, and you will find in SAPHEA website, we provide an explanation and more in-depth explanation of the 5 business models. The traditional business model, which is the local public company, and with some case studies, examples, just to give you an idea of how it worked in some countries and how it supported project development there. So we had local public company and then the public-private partnership. These two are the traditional classic business models that supported geothermal project development in the past decades. What we are now seeing is the introduction of these new business models, innovative business models. The first one that we analyzed is the self-consumption model, the capo model, and the energy communities. This is not an exhaustive list, so there are more innovative business models, but in the report we decided to focus on these 5 that I just presented you. Unfortunately, I don't have much time to go into the details, but you can find more information in the tutorials, in the reports, and if you have questions, I'm here, or you can reach out to my email also. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. That was great. Now Jessica, right?
Yes, right. I can share my screen. So, can you see my screen? Maybe not yet in a presentation modality. Yes, now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you to the Cross-Section Foliage and to Lazarus for this to host our webinar. Thank you very much. So I'm Jessica Chicco from the University of Turin, and now I'm presenting the status, a very summary, a summary of the status report on the socio-environmental conditions for the implementation of geothermal energy into district heating and cooling grids. So I have some problem with my, okay. This is the main structure of the report. This is consists of 6 chapters, but now we focused on. I have some problem with my. Sorry. Okay. We will focus on these 3 main chapters because these are the main important ones. So the second is about the social environmental impacts that we defined in this report, and the societal readiness evaluation scheme that is proposed in the chapter 4, and where we define the concept of the societal readiness. This societal readiness level was developed during the SAPHEA project, and it is very important, and we can see this after. And the chapter 5 about the environmental and socioeconomic criteria for geothermal district heating and cooling grids. So in these cases, we identified some issues so environmental and socioeconomic issues, and we try to suggest some important aspects to overcome these issues. So the chapter 1 of the status report is a short summary in which we defined all the main important aspects to be defined when we would like to integrate geothermal energy into district and cooling grids. As you already known, is very important the dissemination part. So we highlighted that informational campaigns, educational initiatives, and also clear information, and also the providing real world examples of operative and successful case studies is very important to implement and to reach the social acceptance. It is very important also the work of policymakers, because they need to build trust to foster a positive perception of these technologies. And it is very important also to invite users to share their positive experiences, because this can be useful to inspire confidence and trust to these geothermal technologies. We identified a lot of these important aspects to be addressed, but here I only showed you the main important ones. So chapter 2. The main objectives of this chapter are the identification of the social and also environmental impacts, but we focus mainly on the environmental impacts, because they are strictly linked to the social acceptance, and so to the social part. The main environmental impacts that we highlighted in this report are both for deep geothermal systems and shallow geothermal systems. For example, for deep geothermal systems, we identified the main one is the induced seismicity associated with the injection of geothermal fluids in deep geothermal systems. And also, for example, for shallow geothermal systems, one of the main important issues is the groundwater contamination, for example, for open loop geothermal system, and also always for open loop geothermal system. Another important issue is usually the hydraulic connection between aquifers. So I only, because I don't have so much time, so I only showed you the main important environmental impacts that we defined in this report, but we defined a lot of these environmental impacts. And we also gave in this report some suggestions to overcome these environmental and so the social impacts. So, for example, if we overcome these environmental impacts, we can for sure increase the social acceptability of these projects. So it is very important, this chapter, for this reason. Okay, chapter 4. The chapter 4 is about the societal readiness level. So this societal readiness level is an index that evaluates the how the stakeholders have, for example, have done a right communication, and so if they did some efforts to assess public perception or about environmental and social impacts of these projects. So these levels are 5. So we have, for example, the social readiness level 1, the social readiness level 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we can start for the level 1. At this stage, as you can read here, stakeholders are minimally identified and communication is sporadic. There's no effort to assess public perception or environmental social impacts. And we can arrive to social readiness level 5, where this is the best one. So we can start from the worst situation to the best situation. So for the level 5, the project is fully integrated into the community with broad stakeholder support and positive public perceptions. So starting from this societal readiness level, and so starting from these 5 levels, we applied these levels to the public perception and awareness, to the environmental impact and sustainability, and to the social impacts. We can read now all these parts because we don't have time, but all these parts are detailed, explained in the report. So this chapter is also very important, chapter 5, about the sustainability criteria to integrate geothermal energy into district heating and cooling grids. We start from the socio-economic criteria. In this case, we identified 6 criteria divided in 2 main issues defined in terms of key performance indicators. So in this case, the main 2 issues are economy and social. These 2 main issues identify 6 KPIs. And so this, for example, 3 KPI for the issue economy and 3 KPI for the issue social. So for the issue economy, we have capital cost, operational cost, project risk. And for the issue social, involvement to the local business, impacts on the citizenship and safety. So this is only an example of, because for each of these 6 KPI, we prepared 6 detailed sheets, and this is only one of the example, for example, for the issue social, and this is the indicator or KPI impacts on the citizenship. We identify the description and the assessment method to improve this part, this KPI, and the intent. And we identify all these description for each of the KPI, for each KPI. And this is another example about the issue economy and the KPI capital cost, for example. In this case, we have also the unit measure, description, assessment method, and the intent. Concerning the environmental criteria, in this case, we identified 13 criteria divided in 4 main issues, always defined in terms of key performance indicators. In this case, I only put 2 main issues, energy and environment. And for these 2 main issues, we identified 7 KPIs. For example, for the issue energy, the share of energy from geothermal, the share of energy from underground thermal storage, the share of waste heat, or for example, for the issue environment, we identified land use, greenhouse gas emissions, and environmental impacts. This is also, this is again an example of the sheet that we prepared for each of these KPI. Is the same structure of the previous sheets that I showed you. And in final, this is very important. So I explained very shortly the previous parts because I would like to focus to this part about the socio-economic environmental sustainability evaluation, because this is, how to say, a collection of all the previous data I showed you. Thanks to all the previous data we collected, we were able to to do this evaluation. The main goal of this socioeconomic environmental sustainability evaluation is to provide a final score which summarizes the overall sustainability of geothermal district heating and cooling grids projects involving one of the scenarios that my colleague Jacques presented you before. So we took some of this scenario and we tried to apply this socioeconomic environmental sustainability evaluation. And for each of these, in particular, we took not all the scenario, but the main important ones, and we provide a final score for each of these scenario we choose. So this another things that I forgot is that this evaluation is articulated also in three main steps: characterization, normalization, aggregation. So characterization is a report of calculation, evaluation of each of the previous KPIs we saw before. Normalization is the assignment of this socioeconomic environmental sustainability evaluation to the KPI. Aggregation is a weighted sum of each KPI score to calculate the final socioeconomic environmental sustainability score. So once done all these characterization, normalization, and aggregation parts, we defined these final scores from -24 to +24. So from -24 to -9 is the worst situation. From 9 to 24 is the best situation. So, for example, from -24 to -9, we have the integration of the chosen geothermal scenario into the existing district heating and cooling network is not socio-economic, environmentally sustainable. From 9 to 24, the integration of this scenario into the existing district heating and cooling network certainly is socio-economic, environmentally sustainable. So this is very important because if we are in the worst situation, we need to do something to improve this situation, both from the social and environmental parts, of course. Okay. If the final score is in the worst part, the chosen geothermal scenario might not be the right one for the specific case study. So we can try to improve this situation by choosing another scenario, because for each locality we can have, for each geological, hydrogeological situation, for example, we have to choose different technological scenario. And so this evaluation, this kind of evaluation is very important to do in order to understand this part, and also because this can improve the social acceptability of technologies.
Thank you, Jessica.
Okay, I think I'm late, I know, but I'm at the end. This is only the last slide in which we applied this assessment to the operative and successful case studies. These are all real case studies, and we found that only the Wien case study shows a final score bigger than 8. So my congrats to Austrian colleagues because Wien is the best one. So it was my the last slide is this one. The final score for Wien is 9.5. So my congrats.
Thank you.
So this is the same slide that Jacques and Dan already presented to take some more detailed information of these reports. Thank you, and sorry for my for my late.
Thank you very much. Thank you for presenting. Anna, I think we concluded with Jessica's presentation.
Yes.
We do you have any final words, any final remarks to say before questions?
No, not really. I just posted in the chat. I posted in the chat the actual link right now because the SAPHEA.eu should work. It will work soon again, but right now it's moved to Go Geothermal. So every report that was discussed or every other repository you want to access, you find it there.
Okay, thank you. I think we should move in the first question that it was already asked, I think, to Ali.
Ali or Shak, yeah.
It's in the chat. So how much data is provided to regions outside the countries involved in the project? Can it be used to design a model for smaller regions outside the project countries? Ali, could you please address this question?
Yeah, I think for the data part, Jack can answer better than me.
Yes, but I don't really get the question, to be honest. Which
I think it's we have the countries involved in the project are Italy, Denmark, Austria, so on. But we have data outside because we try to have pan-European data sets. So is there enough data outside of the countries of the consortium?
Okay.
So
for concerning data sets that that are in the scenario, the special dataset catalog, the table, it really depends on which data set. You have to take each data set independently and have a look at them because they don't have the same spatial resolution, they don't have the same extent, but they are all definitely pan-European and freely available and accessible and downloadable. So I cannot give a specific answer, and it's just depending on which data set you're looking for.
Thank you very much. If I address the room here, or the people, of course, online or physically here, do you have any questions for any of the presenters of the SAPHEA tool? Yes, would you mind coming here, Lina? Yes, I can. Oh my God. So, is it this address to Jessica? Oh no, Jessica, please keep it short. So why did you address 5 social impact indices, but there are 9 known indices? Social
no,
readiness
9,
levels.
no, okay, 9 there are for the technological readiness level. They are 9, I know, but in the social part we identify. It's not my work because it's the work of my social colleagues of the society department, but they identified only 5 because based on also on the previous experiences with some real experiences for real case studies, and so they started from the technological readiness level, and they tried to find a solution and a combination to create and to realize the societal readiness level, and they identified only 5. But it is based on the technological readiness levels, so it is based on these 9 levels. But I can ask them to also improve this this number. I think it is possible.
Any more questions, either online or from the room here? Yes, Nicola? Yeah, yes, I will try. Yes, that's a very good question, actually. So the question is regarding the toolbox. Who is it addressed to? Who is the main user that this toolbox? Because we've seen a variety of these of what it does. So can you please answer basically who will be addressed to?
Yes, I mean, yes. Actually, it depends on which of the calculation models you use. For instance, so we have different user profiles. So one is this GeoSphere model for the deep geothermal energy. I mean, for that calculation module, you apparently need some technical knowledge to use it, because there are technical terms you need to understand there are some technical parameters you need to provide. So for that one, that is addressed for the technical or expert level, let's say. But for instance, for the large-scale geothermal heat pump tool, you also seen it in my presentation. You just need a few parameters to run it. So we even used it in our courses for students because we have a course focusing on district heating specifically. We wanted to just use this simple tool for the students to come up with different sizes of the geothermal plus heat pump combination, and then look into different decarbonization options. Or it can be also a municipality who just wants to quickly look into cost and performance of a geothermal heat pump, and they can also run it without too much experts knowledge. So it's varies, but I would say it's both for the experts, geothermal expert, but it can also used by the students or by the municipalities as well.
Thank you very much. Any more questions? Yes, please.
What is the spatial resolution of all the maps that are showing in the European Union?
I was going to ask about the data, but it's a good thing. What is the spatial resolution about? Because there are many data available. So for all database basically. So what's the spatial resolution? What's the minimum, for example, that data sets that you selected or you found or is available at the moment? I don't know who's responsible for the data.
That's a good question. I think one of the most precise would be the extent of the natural what's called the Natura 2000 areas. They are really precise because they need to be really precise for decisions. But definitely for more technical, like geology or reservoirs, polygons and stuff, I would say at the pan-European level, there are maybe at the level of 20 kilometers, 10 to 50 kilometers, let's say. So it really depends on the layers, but as they are pan-European, they cannot be that precise. That's the trade-off.
If I may add on that, I am aware that the Geological Institute in Europe, in different countries, they were trying to gather data and share this data. Are these data, I don't know if they completed this project, it's been going on for some years. I don't know if anyone here has an update. Are these data also incorporated in this tool?
So actually, I'm the right person to ask this question because I also work for the GECU project.
Yes.
So actually, there was a long discussion between SAPHEA consortium and GECU to try to exchange on the data we are actually providing and creating and their data. And the result is like our project is gonna end now at the end of this month, and we're gonna give free access to all of our data and results to the GeoSphere project to actually, if they want to use them and publish them on the EGDI platform. There is already on the catalog of datasets, there is already data that are from the EGDI. So the EGDI is the platform created by the Geological European Consortium responsible for the GeoSphere project. And on this platform, it gathers a lot of data that are freely accessible and downloadable. So the question is that, yes, there will be data from SAPHEA into the GCU and there will be in the GDI, but that's not on our part to do that. We're going to give them and then it's at the GeoSphere project level to publish them.
Yes, thank you very much. Also, very good. I also have one more question on data. I don't know if anyone else has one more question before I go into the same. Okay, so the question is, you've gathered all these data sets basically, and you gather them together. So I know some people here are working on specific projects, so they require some specific data. I know that maybe it's not as easy as to access this data, or maybe in some cases not as easy to find. And you've done the long work and you gather all this data into this tool and they're available. And you presented the GitHub that you showed earlier. For example, if I want to use some of that data for my tool instead of using your tool, will you be able to use this data, or are these data protected in some case?
So yes, it's a good question. So the main requirements and what was decided for this project is to gather first only pan-European datasets, so no local and regional datasets, and that's if you want some data at this level, you need to turn onto your local or national or regional geological service, or ask for the GCU project and so on, because they are connected to all European and extended European Geological Service. And the second part is that all the datasets that we are providing are freely accessible, downloadable, and free access, open access, everything. So they are coming from a national website, EGDI, some publications, and the links that were provided into this Excel table. The URL is a direct link where you can find and download the data, and that all of the data are freely accessible, downloadable, and you can do whatever you want with them as long as you respect the license publication or citation.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we should call it a day. I don't know if in the back. There's one more question. No, we already addressed that one. No, I think we're all set with the questions.
Yeah.
Do you have any closing remarks, Anna?
No, yeah, I would like to say that if you have any more questions or if you want to reach out to anybody, you can find our links anyway on the Market Uptake Hub. You can also connect to this LinkedIn group where we want to keep updated and yeah, have a proper exchange there. That's all fine by us.
Thank you very much.
I also want to add something. I think also we should make available our presentations. Where can we send them?
If you would like to, we can share within our foliage. So if you send me directly the presentations, I can share them within the foliage group. And of course, I will share also the recording.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Then that would be good. Like if anyone wants to come back to one presentation and to have some detail, you can also find the name of the person responsible for what.
Yes, exactly. That's a very good idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so